my screen.
Yes, we are able to.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, hi everyone. This is Zeba. Today is the session we'll be discussing more about what is the difference from a college life to a corporate setup when we landed. We will also deal with a lot of things that we have as a question in our mind, but it is never answered, or it is not completely answered to the clarity where we can be satisfied and move on. So that is where this session comes in picture. This session is also useful for people who are in the initial years of their career. So please don't get disappointed with the title when I say college. So I'll start with my introduction. As Raghav has also mentioned, I have around 10 years of experience as a technical writer. I have been a part of like four massive content management system of these organizations, and right now I'm working with SocGen Global Solution. Um, I have been working on various document creations and a lot of the aspects, but I've always been very keen towards uh, the behavioral aspect of everything, be it creating a document, be it meeting people, be it my creating network, anything for that matter. So that is where my keen interest towards taking a session like this came into formation. So we'll start with one. Like, I would want this session to be a little interactive. I'll give you space for questions in between, and I'll also give you space to answer certain things that I'm asking. So please do participate. It's gonna be a lot more fun that way. So let's move on. Okay. So the first thing, tell me, like, when I say the word college, what all thoughts that comes into your mind? What is the memories that comes in picture for you? Anybody can answer. Please unmute and answer.
Last minute preparations.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah. uh, anyone? Anyone else? Okay. So I will tell you, probably give you a refresher on what comes when we talk about college or early days of our career. Friends, right? Didn't we make some amazing friends, and we got into a lot of groups where we met people who have similar thoughts. We got to learn a lot of these things, right? Professors, of course, we can't forget. Lectures, hostel life, relationships, bunking classes, night outs, events, learning, placement, right? Flexibility of doing our own things, flexibility of being our own way and trying to explore what how can we make ourselves better. Lot of these things come into mind when I say college. I had, like, an amazing college life. Whenever I recall, these are the thoughts that come to my mind. So the first thing that I would say is, um, during our college days, okay, the early time of career, we are wired with a very, like, different thought process. We have certain things in our mind that is like the way that we've been brought up, um, and we have this very different image about how the corporate world is going to be. Like, some people get really scared when we say, okay, office, like how the people are, how the team is going to be, what kind of work I'm going to get into. We have different goals that we have planned. We have, like, very defined, specific, like, I want to be so and so, that's it. Because we are just trying to be there, we have not yet been there. So that becomes our very fixed view of things. We have very high standards and expectations that, like, we are gonna make it. This is how it should be. This is how, like, I want to see myself in another 3 years, 4 years, and a lot of preconceived notions about things. a lot of preconceived notions in a lot of aspects of a job, as well as colleagues, or as well as the work life balance, everything, right? And with all of these questions, that little bit of insecurity that we have within ourselves, and then meeting these expectations that we have set all this while, that is where the main key towards understanding ourselves comes in picture. So our insecurities that we have towards ourselves is what we learn eventually as we grow and evolve more and more. And one more thing is that in the very beginning phase, like even in college, like job is the motive for learning. Most of us, like, we can't deny this fact, right, that we are looking forward to get a job out of, like, once we are out of college. So that is, these are, like, certain things, certain few of the thoughts that I could pen down when I was thinking about, like, the early days of when I was in college, how I wanted it to be, what were things like. So now, the questions that we had in our mind during that phase: have I made the right decision? Is this course right for me? Or is this job that I'm taking up, is it right for me? Is this the right field for me, which I'm picking up? For example, doing, like, people who have done mass communication or who've done engineering, like, there are a lot of fields that we were exposed to. So if, for example, if I have picked up technical writing, so is this field right for me? Will I be able to do good in what I'm choosing? Am I losing something by not picking up this field? Will I be able to impress people to get good work, right? All these situations, all these questions are, it keeps appearing as in when we are doing some work, when we are meeting people, as when we are starting our career. These are the various questions: how do I impress my manager? Trust me, this is a big one. And we take a lot of things in our mind, a stress on ourselves to be able to answer this for our own self satisfaction. Can I try something new in my work? For example, we were just talking about UX writing, right? I have a friend. She is a technical writer. We started our journey together, and now she wants to move to UX writing. And she has so many questions in her mind, and, like, there are a lot of thoughts in process. Like, I'm already set in a place. Should I take that jump? Should I move in to a new field right now? Will that be a good option to take? Right? Or should I stick to the work that's allotted to me? A lot more easier, right? I've got a decent job, I'm getting my pay on time, I'm, like, doing whatever is required. So should I stick to it, or should I try something new? How do I improve my career overall? How do I move from one role to another that I'm aspiring to be it individual contributor, be it getting into a lead role, be it mentorship, or anything, right? And what should be my plan to excel? Like, how do I create a plan? Can, like, if somebody tells you that you have so and so subject in a semester and these many chapters you have to finish, it's much more easier, right? Like, you just have to do it. But when you have to create a plan for yourself, not just execute, you have to create it for yourself, and to make sure that you excel in it, that's a big one. Now, how do I make contacts? How do I make the right contacts who will help me through this? Like, whom do I connect? What will be their reaction when I connect? What if they tell me, like, I don't have time for all this? And what if I, like, uh, feeling very fragile, and like, being very thoughtful on what should I do, what should I not do, when we are doing such things, or when we are making these small decisions. Okay. So my aspect towards what you take up, the very, very, very first key pointer, the very first key pointer, or to, okay, let me ask this first. The questions that we spoke just now, did all of you ever had such questions in your mind?
Oh, definitely yes. Especially the fourth one.
How to impress my manager? I told you, that's a big one. That's a big one. Yes. Anybody else? Anybody who has any more questions that you would want to add, which is not covered here? Okay. Cool. So, okay, you can ask it anytime in between. No problem. Stop me when you have anything that you want to check. So, the very, very, very first thing that comes in my mind when I talk about bridging the gap is the right mindset. Is what we are gonna carry, what we have, that we will bring on to the table when we are talking about the next phase of our life, right? If it is not with this mindset, which is the right mindset, and to be open to what you're going to take up, it brings a lot more challenges than it would actually bring if you come with the right mindset, right? So I will explain you a few things on how and what all are the aspects that we should take care to make sure that we bring in the right mindset. Because when we are landing in a new place, be it you want to be an entrepreneur, you if you want to join a job that you've been aiming for, if you want to start any, any small business of your own, any small project of your own, this is the key to what you want to change from one phase to another. Okay, so key to all the challenges that we want. Moving ahead, right? That's the first thing. Forget everything that has happened before. Forget all the, we keep blaming ourselves for a lot of things that, okay, I don't know this, I don't know that. Just move ahead with a positive attitude. Just move ahead. Make sure that you have the thought that you are gonna do better, and I'm not going to see what has happened behind, but I will make sure that I will learn from the errors that I've made before, right? And then I'll make sure that I don't repeat it. This is where most of the problems will be solved. Complaining. So I have observed this very often. Even people, all of us with the, no matter whatever experience that we have, we tend to complain about things, like might not be any major complaint, like we get into this habit of complaining about, okay, this is not right, okay, maybe, company should have provided us this, that would have been nice, that would have been nice. This whole mindset have to be, really intentionally put a stop on. It is not possible to put a stop on, I know, but we have to make sure that it stays within, even if it should not be loud enough for others to feel that, okay, like this person is not seeing a lot of positive aspects that are there, but is complaining about one small thing. So that viewpoint has to be changed here. Initiatives, right? The next, this aspect is something that I would tell you, like when we start a new thing, or when we are doing a new project, new office, new team, whatever be it, either we do too much of it, thinking that, I'm gonna just give a mark, like make the right decision, everything I'm gonna do, like because I am so much into it right now. You have to strike a balance. You have to either, either we do it too much, or we don't take any initiatives at all. A lot of the forums, a lot of communities are a very good example of how initiatives have taken a balance, and then when we are not overdoing it, we are not, not doing it at all. We are in a, we have created a balance, and that's the initiative that we take, like something that you can practically do it, and only then you commit on to it, right? Culture. Understanding the company culture. The moment we join, we have to see that there are certain things that we are taking on a platter, and that what we offer to the team that we've joined, or to the team that we've formed, or to a new project that I'm taking. So this is what I am offering. But from the from the other end, you also have to understand what is the culture that they have. You need to understand that to be able to give you 100%. Mistakes. Trust me, be open about your mistakes. This is one thing that I have seen, that if you are open about your mistakes, it is much more easier to accept it. It is much more easier for the other person to also understand that, okay, you agree that there is a mistake that has happened. Now you're willing to learn. Sixth point, boundaries. You have to make sure that there is a certain set boundary that you have created, and based on that, you do not go beyond certain things, and you don't you have to make sure that there are things that should be taken at the value that you are creating for it, right? So understand your own boundaries, and then make sure that you do not make yourself uncomfortable in situations. So if you understand yourself better, it'll be easy for others also to take you for that value. As I said, too, either we become like you, we do too much, or then we don't do at all. This is again another aspect of it. When we are in a team, or when we are with a lot of people for any of our motives, some people become very rigid. They don't see that you need to be flexible. You need to understand that the other person also has a say in something. So when you become too rigid, it becomes difficult. When you're too flexible also, it becomes difficult. We need to strike a balance here. We need to understand how much should I do it and how much should I not take. Planning in your own, to create your own right mindset, being very clear on your plan. I'm not talking about having a plan for another 3 years, 5 years down the line. Starting with a to do list for your day. When you start your day, just note it down that these are the things that you're supposed to be achieving, and you're supposed to finish this thing, and make sure that you, put a check mark once it's done. This helps a lot. You get that feeling of, okay, you have achieved something, so that gives you a motivation to be able to perform better for your next task. It can be any small thing. It can be as small as creating a folder for something, or probably move, sending a document to someone. Just pen it down, be it any form. I am more of like a pen and a book person. It can be like, an a notepad or anything, e electronic for you. But make sure that you plan your things ahead, and then you achieve it throughout the day. That's when you get that positive motivation towards doing other things also better. I need not mention, talk much on this. Listening, we know how important it is, and we know that it plays a key in every aspect of the work that you do, be it learning, be it actually doing some work, be it creating connect, whatever be it. When you are saying you're listening, listen. When you think that you are not required in a so and so meeting, do not attend it. It is very simple. Do not attend it. Convey it that you are not required to be here, and you can utilize probably this time for something that is more productive, and that needs your time. The last one is self. Have a very clear understanding of, try to get a clear understanding. I know it's not very easy to get this, but make a small effort on a regular interval to see that if I in the right path. Am I doing what I need to do? And if these are things that I don't like doing it, how do I, bend towards towards the thing that I like, and how do I create a path for myself? So for to be able to do all of that, understanding that self zone has to be created very clearly. So my final thoughts on when it comes to right mindset is, recognize the area from the past where you need to improve and move on. Habit of complaining, even casually, needs immediate attention. Okay, you have to make sure, as I said, it should not be loud out open. You can complain, you can, see how you can handle that complaint and what is the action that needs to be taken care. But make sure that you do not get into a habit of complaining. It is not a, a very nice habit to have in any of the team members, because they bring down, it brings in a a slight level of negative energy in the room, which is not very commendable, I would say. Yeah, so lacking initiative or showing too much, find a balance. Invest time in understanding company culture. It's one of the key aspect. You will groom yourself a lot more when you understand that this is how my company is, this is how the culture is. Like for example, in society general where I'm working, the French culture, it is we do have a lot of sessions to understand French culture. and it is helping us a lot to work with our counterparts. So similarly, do your own bit and see what you can do to understand the culture of your team or your organization. Accept your mistakes openly. Don't be afraid to say what that you messed it up. Don't try to please anyone. That is one of the key. You have to understand this at a very initial level so that you'll be the better version on and on and on. Get to a combination where, like, as I mentioned about the point that you have to don't be too rigid or too flexible. Okay, when you're striking a balance, try to get into one part which is not negotiable. Like, for example, I will do a 20 minutes of workout every day, right? Now, if I fix a time and if I become very rigid saying that it should be at 7 o'clock, next day I wake up at 8, my motivation level is already down because I woke up late, and then it brings all those thoughts and churnings right into my mind, right? Instead, if I focus that I need to do a 20 minutes workout now, I that's a fix thing, that's not negotiable. But what is flexible is I can do it at any time of the day, whenever I can make it. So that makes you feel happy that whenever you get little time, you would try achieving it. So try to strike that balance. As I mentioned, plan your work ahead. To-do list for a day or of the whole week, if you have it, it really helps you to be able to plan better, and planning better makes everything else better, right? Listen, make eye contact with the person when talking. Okay, listen to the actual what that person is talking, process the data what they are talking, leave all the distraction, or else exit from that place where you think that you will not be able to pay attention. It is a less of a data processing for you and a less of that for that person also. Comparison, that self point that I was talking about, this is one of the key in that. Be a better version of yourself every day. Be a better version of yourself every now and then. Do a self check, see if you are moving ahead or not. Okay, don't compare things saying that okay, that person has reached to that point, I don't, like, somehow I should also be doing it. That makes things a little difficult. Give yourself that space. So, do you guys have any questions? Do you have any thoughts that you would like to contribute here? Okay, I is there anyone who
Yeah, can you expand a bit on the boundaries part?
uh creating boundaries, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so what happens that if I am in a workplace and I say that you can talk to me in any way, right? And I am talking to everybody and not making sure that there are certain things that I should keep in my mind when I am in a certain kind of a setup. I cannot be everything in every setup. We all agree to this. So when we set up a boundary, we allow the other person to be able to enter into a certain level only. So the aspect when we will think that we will not be taken for granted, we will not be one of the team member, okay, just give something, that person will work. So you have to make sure that your boundaries are well defined and it is well communicated in the right way in the team or in the project or in the setup wherever you are. For example, I will say that I will not entertain any emails that comes after 7 p.m. for that matter, right? After 7 p.m., whatever you are sending, I'll respond to it the next day itself. So nobody says this right open, like, when we are working. I might be online throughout in the night and working on something. But after 7, avoid answering to certain emails and make it a pattern that everything that comes after that, you attend to it as the first thing in the morning. Make a note and attend it as the first thing in the morning. That this is one of the examples when we are talking about creating boundaries so that your personal and work life does not get into a mixed level, and trust me, there are people who are really finding out ways to get back their mental peace because they have messed this up. The boundaries were not created. I hope I answered.
Yes, Zeba. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
So
hi,
the
this is
next,
Anil. Anil,
y-
yeah, sorry, I just
yes,
have a
yes, go
yeah,
ahead,
yeah,
go ahead.
small question. Yeah, so usually a common problem or scenario what we face, like we have some schedule, we are working on that, and then some urgent work came, and due to that the schedule is getting disturbed. And when if it is one or two times, it's fine, but when it is like happening again and again, so like what do you suggest, so how to handle this kind of things?
I was I'll tell you the example that was happening with me some time back, that I was not able to say no to something when I'm processing or I'm working or I am doing, like, I'm already working onto something, and then this urgent thing comes up. And just because I
Mhm.
am keeping this in mind that I need to do this, or else it does not give a right impression, or, like, it might become difficult for somebody else to answer to the client. Usually this happens in a client situation, because otherwise everything is planned. But when client comes up with something and you are like, okay, so I need to take this up, and if I don't, what happens? So
Yeah, right.
assessing your work and assessing the right timeline and saying no at the right time is very important when it comes to this. You have to tell it
Mhm.
very clearly that these are the things that are lined up, these are the things that I'm working on right now. Maybe I can take, like, saying a no straight away will also be rude, will definitely not be
Mm.
appreciated in a team. But when you strategically answer that, when you strategically answer saying these are the 10 things that you're expecting me to do in that task, I can do probably, like, four of it right now, and then the rest of the six I'll be able to divide it into three chunks, because already I have certain things that is going on. So I will take three of this now, and then the rest of the three later, and then we can have an answer that by so and so time I'll be able to finish it. So you make a plan for yourself. When you convey in such a way, you show that you are improving, you show that there is an improvement in the task that you're doing, and it becomes acceptable. If you say no straight away, it's definitely not acceptable. People are just not ready to listen to a no, no matter how much work you have, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
very.
and trust me, technical writers are the biggest victim of that. We have everything in the last minute, everything,
Yes,
and
yes,
people come
right.
with expectation that, can you just finish this document, and, like, tomorrow we
Mm.
have a client meet, and I'm like, what, like, so how do I process the rest of the things that is happening?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where,
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, so they always believe that, so for example, a 50 pages document for
Yep.
editorial review, how much it will take?
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. Answered.
Okay, so the next aspect that I would want to highlight is the communication pattern. We are in a field where communication is everything. Earlier it was just the like, people who are doing the communication, like, be it writing, be it into anything related to mass communication, media, press, journals, and everything. We were the only one who were studying about communication pattern. But now we have everybody who needs to be better in communication, like today, suddenly, of, like, in the last few years, everybody wants to communicate properly. That's where the rise of content and so many aspects in content management, content writing, like, interpretation, so many things have come in picture now, right? Did we see this 10 years back? Did we see this 15 years back? I don't think so, the kind of craze that we have today. So that shows the importance of this pattern. That shows how important it is not to just say something, to also understand that the other person has understood it in the right way, right? So that is where the key to our excellence come in place as writers. And if we don't say or write or convey things that the other person understands, trust me, we will have to do it all over again and it will take a lot of time. So the very first time when we are doing it, let's do it with the right communication pattern. Let's do it, not just the work, and everything, like, if you are making a connection, if you're making a network, if you're meeting anybody, we have to keep this in mind and try to get a regular feedback is what I would say. We'll discuss this in the next few slides. So communication, there are a lot of things when we say communication comes into our mind, right? The way we use whatever pattern of communication we are talking about, whatever method of communication we are talking about, the way we use it defines the kind of people we have around us. The way we use it defines the kind of connections we are making on our day to day life. Communication defines the network that we have, right? You might be meeting a lot of people, you might be having a lot of connects, for example, even on LinkedIn, but the actual core network which is helping you uh, gain expertise, which is helping you do better in, like, in every version of yourself, that network I'm talking about. Communication is the key for that. Growth, even your career growth, your personal growth, everything matters on how good you are at communication. Everyday basis, misunderstandings, we are dealing on it every level of our life. Communication is the core behind all of these. Vision, even if, like, all these patterns, the kind of people you meet, the kind of connects you make, the kind of network that you have, that you're regularly and, like, working with, that sets up your growth, that defines your growth, and then that eventually leads into getting a good vision of where you want to be. I'm not talking about, like, see, vision is sounds like a very big word, but when you break it into smaller chunks is when you will understand that having even a small vision, as mentioned earlier, a to do slide, like, a to do note for a week or for a month, when you collaborate, it becomes into a vision of a particular year. When we have our career discussions, when we have all of those, it helps us to be able to define what's good for us and to be able to plan it in such a way that we reach there. And for all of that, you need to be in the right pattern of communication so that point 1 till point 4 is done well to be able to reach till 5, right? And then the works that you do. So with things set in place, you will start with the right work. You'll get the right project, be it freelancers, be it, like, content writing, personal projects, if you're taking up anything, or if you're office projects, any of those. Communication is the key to be able to make that happen. So the thoughts that I have, which I would like to share with you all on communication, is the way you communicate defines the people you meet. Does anybody disagree with this? Is there any like, thing that you would want to add here, or you think should be added when we are talking about communication here and when it comes to people? We always attract people of our own kind. When you meet the right kind of people, you make the right connections, right? We might not know, for example, again I will take an example of UX writing, because we've been discussing about that and we are in the same flow. UX writing, till the time I meet a UX writer, I talk about it, or probably I read about that person, I will not know. So my network helps me to meet the right kind of people, and then I understand that, okay, that this is what I'm thinking, this is what I was thinking UX writing is, and this is actually what it is. There are a lot of things that comes in picture when we are talking about UX writing. So now, how do I reach from what I was thinking and what it is, and is it still the right field for me to choose? So to take all these key decisions in life, it is very important to be in the right network and to be surrounded with the kind of people that you want to be. what you are already surrounded with such, those people. But it becomes very important to be around with people to whom you want to be, so that you get a kind of like, a trailer. Okay, this is that's amazing, and then you move forward. As I said about growth, career growth is completely defined on the way you maintain your connections, on the way you communicate, on the way your communication has helped you. I'll give you an example. When i when i was a fresher, I was just out of college and I had joined Cognizant. I had the first project, and coincidentally my first project was also Society General back then at Cognizant. So I when I started that project, I was always of this mindset that if I am sending an email, I want to make sure that that person has like, got that, and I would really appreciate that it, like, if I get the response to it. So that finishes my cycle, that okay, I have a pattern and it's completed. I did always, I responded the same way when I am receiving something. So every time I receive, say that I've received it, and this is what is my plan, that I take it up, and I will get back to you on so and so date with all the answers that you need. So that finishes the cycle. I did not like, know it back then on what is the importance that it would create eventually on my career coming, like, over the years. And I met this ex manager who was my manager back then, and he appreciated that fact when I met him now. He's like, he always appreciated for the fact that I made sure that the connection is on. That's where I talk about connection and communication. Communication, you have to make sure that the cycle is complete. You can't control if the other person is responding to your email or not. But when you receive something, make sure that the cycle is complete, so that it helps you to convey the right message and say that you are okay, your ears are on, like I'm not ignoring, right? This is the same thing that I'm talking about. When you're new to any field, right communication pattern can land you with right people. And it is when you explore with the right kind of people in your surrounding, you get clarity on your vision, right? And when you create a good image with the right pattern that you've been following, people talk about each other in office. That's how you eventually get your visibility. That's how you start creating yourself noticed at office. That is when you start, uh, as when I said about the question about the manager, question 4, which was very important for all of us: how do I impress somebody? So when you are doing the right work in the right way, automatically you do not have to do any separate activity to be able to spoken about at office. You would do, your work will speak for you, and that word of mouth, that okay, this person is good, you can trust, because the transparency is very high. So such people is always appreciated by good managers. Managers are of a lot of kind, like, I mean, it's us and people like you and me and all of us only, like, grow to that level. They are not somebody who have come from some other part of the world. They are also as human as we are. So everybody have a different pattern of thinking, and like, so there are certain managers who really appreciate. There are, like, you will be appreciated in most of the right atmosphere if you follow a right communication pattern. And as technical writers, also not just these connections, it's also every aspect of our work. Any questions? I feel like I don't want it to be so much one way that it feels it starts to feel like I'm not, am I very clear, or I'm not clear at all? Please respond in between.
Yeah, you are very clear, and whatever you are saying, I think
This
it's a very good summarization of like what we usually follow. But just one point, I want to add one thing. Like as you mentioned that regarding the manager, keep up the good work. But yeah, obviously, if there are means what he want, means sometimes we have to act like that, because our end goal is to not to be a idol for everyone. So our means obviously, like we customer is right, something like that, or
Yes,
manager is right. So
manager
that
is right.
also sometimes we need to follow
Yes,
based on
yes.
the situation.
That's completely true, and we will discuss a little more in detail about how like how you can plan things to make sure that uh, that's where you actually will be able to bridge the gap between college and corporate. So that's where we'll be discussing it in our next few slides. So my next very one of the very important points that I want to like share with you all today is brand creation. I'm not talking about creating any other brand or creating your own business or anything. I'm talking about a self brand that you create for yourself. We spoke about the right mindset, we spoke about the communication. So when you come with the right mindset and you are using the right communication channel, brand creation is an outcome which will eventually start falling in place for you. Branding, we all know that a lot of brands which has created its own image, how amazing and how easy it has made for all of us to understand. But when I talk about branding of self, branding in the sense you create a certain image about yourself and about your work, and you make sure that you are very loyal to that aspect of yourself. That's where your branding comes in picture, right? So we'll discuss the certain aspects here. Branding, what defines you, creates your USP, right? It creates, when I'm talking about this person, okay, you can give a certain kind of mentorship role, this person will be able to take it. That becomes your USP. It's a unique selling point I'm talking about. Dependency. When you have your own brand right, as I said, right mindset, right communication, when you are eventually evolving and creating your own brand of things, you create dependency within your team. You create dependency for your work on others. So the trust factor becomes more, right? Your image is created. Your image is created, and you are very much like, we sometimes we say, I don't know why they are thinking like this about me. It's not like that. Trust me, if you really think about the patterns and the channels and everything that you have been doing, slowly is what has created this whole image of you. Recognition, it's all the outcome. When somebody sees you as a brand, everybody would want to you to be a part of their work, to be a part of their team, to be a part of their organization. As that happens, credibility automatically falls in place, right? You start to get, once your work starts to get noticed, you start getting credits for all the work that you are doing. And uh, that gap that we, most of us, till very recent time, I have also been facing that as a challenge, that I'm doing certain work and I want to be at certain place, but there is so much gap in between and I'm still not 100%, I was not satisfied with what I was doing. It is all these small pointers that you have to bring in. And when you are held accountable for something, because you've created so and so brand, you are being accountable for so and so things. Your accountability increases as your dependency is increased, as you are accountable for more and more responsibility, which eventually shows that you are growing. Be it individual contributor, be it I'm not just talking about leading, motivating mentors. You as an individual contributor will also have a lot of things where you want to be, and it all gets added eventually one by one as a step. So for branding, few of my thoughts that I have for you is: change your status quo, be what you want to be, and start thinking that you've already become that. Only then your thought process, because our brains are channelized in such a way that we have decided this is what I can do. That's where you block yourself. And then you're like, your brain will function. Okay, I will listen to whatever you command. This is what I can do. So I will start doing that. That's how our brain is wired to function. I give a command, it receives and it starts to follow. As small as giving any command that I cannot write a, like I will not be able to write a post on LinkedIn. So because you've said that you're not going to write, you're not going to be able to write, your brain will just accept that thought process. So you have to change that to be able to create your own brand, right? Don't take too much too soon. Give yourself the time that you have for your, in any organization, in any process that you are entering. Give yourself the time to be able to understand what the whole process is all about. Initially it happens when, like, when we join any a company. I want to, like, do my best. I'm going to do this. And okay, I'll take this also. Yes, I can do that also. Yes, I can do that also. And by the end of the day, you'll be like, okay, I've taken 5 new tasks today just because I've met so many new people and it's a new place. So give yourself the time. As I mentioned in my, like, previous slides, do not say no directly, but process it before you say. So do not take so much. Don't be hard on yourself and underestimate the time that you need to learn the new organization. You need time to understand the organization, right? Be on time for anything that you're doing. Meeting, communication, brand, creating your own brand, and then being not able to maintain, this can be one of the major factor. Don't commit that I'll do it tomorrow itself. Take your own time. Give the maximum time that you might need, or you might need for assessing it. But when you have committed, do that. Okay. Maintaining your brand becomes like, you've worked so much and so hard that you've reached to a certain point. Then you have to maintain it. You cannot go without maintaining it because you have put in so much of your blood and sweat to be able to reach there. So maintain it. These are the thoughts that I'm discussing, is to maintain what you have created. Okay, so attention to details. Take notes and close your laptop when you're in meeting. If it is not required, like, don't do anything else if you're listening to somebody or somebody is presenting. I know we are in a virtual world and what I'm saying might not be very connected, but I'm talking about actual presentations. Like, when you're attending a presentation, attend that, listen, or else don't attend. I know there is a very, 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 like, thick process involved in between this, where we have to keep judging if I can't do this. Like, she asked me to attend, so I have to attend. Once you start gaining clarity, once you start communicating right, you will see that this all are the byproduct of the process that we have put in place, right? Now, with the whole process in place, you have certain accomplishment. All of us, most of us, are in some jobs where we have to show that we've done so and so things in our year end goal, or else, like, no matter what you have done, definitely it's not your manager's job to remember it. So track your accomplishment, track the work that you are doing very, very well. Very, very well. This will not just help you to reach your org goals or your individual goals. This will also help you to create your career path eventually down the line. Be the one, not one of them. Be the one who stand by and says that I can do this, and eventually you prove it. Create dependency and uniqueness in your work. When you are unique, you will be asked for what is it that only you can do. Don't work to impress anyone. Your work should talk louder. Eventually things will fall in place. But trust me, even fourth question I come again, setting, which is what my next slide is all about. Any questions, people?
Zeba, Puneet here. I'm not sure about other
Yes.
questions. One thing which is interesting that you have, what is like when we talk about branding. So what you generally mean is do something extra apart from the expected. Do you mean that?
Sorry, I couldn't get you. Could you please repeat? It's a
Yeah.
little bit of echo. Yeah.
So when we talk about branding and
Hmm.
gaining trust or respect,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
you mean that apart from the expected work, which is as part of the job profile, we do something extra. Do you mean that?
Not just extra. I'm talking about every work that you do. Eventually, we all will realize that there is one thing that I'm good at, right? We cannot do everything, even when we are a part of a tech writing team. We cannot do everything. So we find a niche in doing a certain things. Obviously, the brand gets added on and it gets enhanced more and more when you take up extra than what your actual work is. But even what your actual work is, you have to create your own brand. For example, if I send you a document and I know you're a really good editor, right? So that's your brand in your team. I can just close my eyes and send you a document saying that I don't have to worry anything else. If I've sent it to you, that's it. It's all sorted. I can straight away go ahead and publish it. That's the kind of brand I'm talking about. That's the kind of self image creation is what I'm talking about here.
Got it. Great point. Thank you.
Yep. Very important aspect. We all have been listening about it. We all have been doing it in some or the other part of our career. But this plays a key role. Strategic thinking. The way you think defines a lot of it. All that we spoke, right? All the previous slides are the deliberate actions that we have to take. It's a deliberate action that it's a move that you will have to make with the right planning. And all what I said earlier are the chunks of the right planning that you do. That's when strategic thinking comes in place. Okay, I'll also explain you a model which talks about what strategic thinking exactly is when it comes to our field of work. You anticipate the threat in advance. You are doing certain action intentionally because I know I want to become a mentor in future. I'm taking up certain extra task along with my work, and I'm mentoring a few people so that I know that that's the way, that's where I need to be, right? And also anticipation of threat today, that I know that if it is, this is my profile, and if I don't um, plan my career well in advance and properly, I might not even have this job that I have today, right? So you anticipate certain threats in advance. Guarding. So when you anticipate, you are also guarding yourself. That helps you in your goal setting. When your actions are planned, when you have already anticipated that this might happen, so that's also helping you to set the right goal for yourself, which creates opportunities. Right, when you set the right goal, you know this is where I want to be, so now how do I reach? So that's an opening for opportunities for you. That's when you start exploring, which creates a path for success, right? So these are the main things when it comes to strategic thinking, sorry. Yep. So set aside some time to reflect and plan for your future. This is a very important thing. I started doing it very recently, but I would suggest that to all the people who are even starting their career at any given point of time, be it after a break, be it immediately after college or anything, set aside some time and see what where you are heading. Identify a strategic target that will add value to your career. Something that a small learning, for example, will add value to your career. For example, everybody is talking about agile today. So will taking a certification in agile help me or add a value? So let me take out some time and do it. That's an example, right? Now take opinion, seek information from the people who are on top and who are doing the work that you're looking for, right? Seek information from them, talk to them. I know it's a lot of hesitation that we think I was also doing the same. That is the reason that I'm being so keen on these pointers, is that being hesitant and not being able to talk to people blocks a lot of path for you. So when you know that that's the person, that's how I want to be, talk to such people, connect with such people, follow such people, and see what all other steps that they have in place, so that you can reach there at whatever given point of time that you decide, right? And that brings new challenges for you. As I mentioned, anticipate what can be a threat on your way to your goal. What a threat can be as simple as, like, for example, I would schedule a training, and what if I don't attend? So how do you plan? How do you plan to make sure that you attend it? That becomes the key. Foreseen risk, right? I spoke about that. Make sure you have the goal setting conversation. Many organizations do not take it as serious as it should be. You have to take charge of your path. Even if the organization is not doing it, you make sure that you pen down what are you gonna achieve in so and so time, and you make sure you have to take charge of your path, that whether you reach there or not. And what was the reason? If I set a 5 goals, I have reached 4. What is it that I could not make it for 5? What was the blocker? Doing a regular review will help you to make sure that you achieve it at the end of the year, right? These are some of the patterns that I am learning today, that I would, that's the reason that I'm sharing, so that you like, don't just said that, okay, by December I will do all of it and finish it at the end. I've been there, I've done that. Okay, it's November now, December is the goal setting discussion, let me finish all the learning, all the tracks, whatever I'm being asked. November, all that I do. December, when everybody is gone for vacation, let me finish the learning, so that January I will be able to answer my career discussion. Don't do that. Don't do that. The sooner you realize that, the better it is for you. Okay. And create opportunities for yourself. Create opportunities where you want to be. This, when you know that, it becomes easy. I know if I want a certain flavor of ice cream, if I go to the shop, it becomes easy. I go there, pick and come. But if I don't know, I leave myself open, then picking an ice cream is like a very silly example here. I'm just saying that it's, when we think about work perspective, when we have a clear path, it's easy to reach there. Or if not, we have a lot of time, you explore, you take your own sweet time to be able to decide. You lose a lot of time when it comes to career in all these ways. And then look for things that will have maximum impact and that will elevate your visibility in the organization. This is the key to strategic thinking. Sometimes, some of us, even me, I was not very clear on what I want to do eventually after 5 years, right? So I started finding out these key things that will help my team to grow and will also get me visibility. So that's where the maximum impact falls. Your credibility, your accountability, everything starts to fall in place, right? This is the plan I was talking about. See, we have two things. We have job path, where we can't go without doing a job that we've been asked. We'll be the first person to be thrown out, and we'll say you can't do the job and you're doing everything possible in the world. No, understand the job you're expected to do, be really good at it, like finish the tasks that are assigned, and then an extra step can be added to it. So the next step is the career path, right? I'm asked to do this and I'm doing my work, but I also know that eventually down the line, maybe 1 year, 2 years, I want to take up the lead role. I want to be able to mentor few people, and I want to be able to do so and so things. That's my career path. So how do you balance it? How do you make sure that you're also working and also reaching here? So align what you want to be as you evolve. Get clarity on that. Try something new, which will help you set the vision, and make sure you discuss all of this with your manager. Don't just keep it all by yourself, it's not going to help. So your job path will help you move towards your career path. You will have to take a step to be able to move, and then once you have a clear vision that, okay, after 2 years, with the right set path, I have reached to become a mentor or a leader, that moves back to my job path. So as a mentor or as a leader, what all other things that I should be doing as a part, which is a part of my job. So I should be good at that. I should be able to finish those things on time. And then what is next? So this is a cycle. Okay, this is a cycle, and it has to be interlinked properly. It has to be done parallelly. The more gap comes between what job you are doing and where you want to be, that's the danger zone. So make sure that the lesser the gap, the more well aligned it is, the better. So that's pretty much that I have on strategic planning. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Zeba. I think there's this one question right now in the Q&A section. Do you have any more discussions pending, Zeba? Yeah, are you ready to
We
take
are
on?
almost closing. Yes, we are almost closing.
Okay, shall I read out the question now?
Yeah, just one sec that I would want to convey to the writer's hat. Yes, this is something that is really important for all of us. So once I have this in place, yep. Dependency, how we are interlinked as writers. We have a lot of dependency, right? And we are interlinked with a lot of team. We don't just work all by ourselves. We have to have a lot of connections with everybody else. Chance to explore a lot. We also get to know a lot of fields that we are working with, right? So this helps you to find your niche. And once you have your niche in place, you finalize on what is it that you're really good at, and then start building a rapport based on that. Start conveying the same, and you excel on that. This is how, as writers, we have to make sure that we should be able to take this path. I'll be able to I'll be sharing these slide to the team, and you can go through this, and we can go ahead with the questions. I would just would like to emphasize on one thing here, is that there is no right or wrong place of work. There is no right or wrong time. You have all the power to make sure that the place and time is right for yourself. So please do that, and let me know if I can be of any help. Go ahead with questions. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Zeba. That was very informative. Any questions, please put it in the chat. I think there's one question right now. It's on the term complaining. So I'm not able to, see the name correctly. So it is when it is top down, it's usually called feedback. However, when it is bottom up, why is it labeled as a complaint? Is the question we have.
Yes, what happens is when we are, a complaint is different, but when I spoke about strategically putting a complaint, it becomes a feedback. So when it's coming, have you noticed that when I am saying it to my manager, it's not happening? How am I saying, right? But when it comes from like the other way, how it happens? Okay, we gave you so and so task. This is not how it was done. So out of this much points, I give you so much points. These are your key areas that you have to learn, and then you achieve that. That's the strategic way of putting a complaint. That's why I said complaint should not go as a complaint right directly on their face. If I have a planned thing out and then I conveyed this to my manager, saying that these are the reasons why I need this tool, and this is how it enhances the work that we are doing right now, and it saves us so much time, so much money, so much effort, then a complaint can be really beautified and put as a feedback. Then for them also, it's easy to take up forward, because it's not they who are paying for whatever we are asking. I hope I answered the question of guest. Even I don't, yeah, there's no name, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There are no further questions. If anyone has any questions, you can unmute and speak.
Yes. If anyone has some further questions, requesting you to please put it across. So
I see Sham has a question. My manager is not from writing background, but she always questions her process. How to avoid those? As I said, that when we are talking about a process, we have to be very strategically put it in place, and we have to answer it with the data that is required. You put a small pilot project and see how much work that is being done, and take that as an example and then place it. It really helps to answer them when you have the data in place. Sham, I hope I answered your question.
I hope it does. Yeah, and thank you so much for the session, Ziba. As a technical writer, I just want to bring in this one particular pointer throughout the presentation that you actually gave us right now. Uh, uh, with whatever experience I have, we have always been told that, hey, you know what, as a technical writer, you have to keep on reinventing yourself. And this particular presentation gives you a nice thought and process as to how do you reinvent. I know it. There is a lot of things which is the basic stuff which everybody is quite aware of it, but it gives you a complete overview as to how do you reinvent right from the word go and take it. So thank you so much for that. I just wanted to add this one point too.
Thank you so much, Raghavan.
So
It
any other
was,
further questions? Sorry, Pallavi. Yeah,
mm,
you go ahead.
yeah, so this is Pallavi here,
Hi, Pallavi.
Ziba, and it was really an insightful session. Lot of things, about the feedbacks, about how to conduct and especially communication, since that is like the core requirement of tech writers. So thank you so much. This was really, really good.
Thank you
So
so much.
sometimes it happens that since even after so many years of experience, it happens that, you know, uh, there should be someone to always remind you of these things.
Yes,
So,
yes, that's very true. That's very true. And when I'm writing down these things, I think, why was I not, the one who was told this when I was when I really needed it? So that's very true. And be it how many hours of experience or wherever we are in life, this small reminder is very helpful. That is where,
yeah,
yeah, a regular routine helps of self check. Am I in the right path? Be it personally,
absolutely.
professionally. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Jiva. This is Anirban. Really, the means I can say, like when I was going through the session, so means I have attended many sessions, so it looks like a summary of many session in one session. It's a nice one, nice presentation. And actually, even next week, I have to make a presentation to some of the college freshers, those who joined our